Llanguirig's own little St David's Day miracle. To raise funds, Ebenezer Chapel, Llangurig decided to hold a traditional St David's Day concert celebrating all things Welsh. The chapel, beautifully decorated, was full to the brim with an eager audience awaiting events. What could possibly go wrong? A welcome by Reverend Monica, our minister, our effervescent compere, Mrs Debbie Peck, our accomplished organist, Mr Neil Jarman, our president for the evening, Reverend Robert Bebb. After a rousing congregational rendition of Ye Bob in Si Vivant, Debbie introduced the superb Choirs for Good with their conductor, Tiffany Evans. Choirs for Good is an incredible example of the ability to overcome adversity. During the early days of the COVID pandemic, the arts industry suffered terribly, unable to perform or earn any income. Sadly, during this time, a group of choir conductors were made redundant without even being able to say goodbye to their choirs. However, Tiffany Evans and 4 others were determined to find a way to continue doing the work they loved. The result? Choirs for Good. They began with online sessions and organised an amazing St David's Day concert in 2021, introduced by the then Prince Charles and including Welsh stars Catherine Jenkins, Rod Gilbert, Michael Sheen and many more. There are now 12 Choirs for Good throughout the whole of Wales. The Llanidloes Choir was singing this night, led by Tiffany, who also conducts 2 more Choirs for Good in Aberystwyth. Simply put, they are called Choirs for Good because their aim is to help people feel good, do good, for good. They welcome new members of all ages at any time of the year, regardless of musical talent or lack of it, and produce amazing performances which delight and help the communities around them. Check out their website for a choir near you, choirsforgood.com. Debbie then treated us to a poem, or rather her unaccompanied version of Max Boyce's song Hymns and Arias, with verses especially written for Llangurig. It was hilarious, and we all enjoyed joining in the chorus. The Radnor Twirzels were up next, more hilarity and talent. Gareth, Jeff and Reg have been friends since their days in Raider Young Farmers Club. Many years ago, Gareth and Reg used to tour with their disco Silver Sensation, and performed with such Welsh superstars as Shakin' Stevens and Max Boyce, no less. The Radnor Twirzels were formed over 10 years ago when a close family friend, originally hoping to surprise her husband-to-be by getting the Wurzels to perform at their wedding, realised it would be too costly and asked them to consider performing as a tribute band. They went down a storm and have been singing ever since. The President's address was to end the first half. Reverend Robert Bebb was halfway through his talk on St David when, disaster! The electrics blew and we were plunged into darkness. Gamely he continued, and we then had an extended interval until Tiffany had the bright idea of Choirs for Good continuing the concert in the dark using their battery-operated PA system. Meanwhile, with a dollop of prayer, the cavalry was called in, and Mark Bruce saved the day. Like all good superheroes, he arrived, fixed things, and vanished into the night without waiting to be thanked. Diolch yn fawr iawn, Mark. Appropriately, as the choir was singing their arrangement of Fix You by Coldplay, the lights gradually came on. The Twirzels sang again for us in their own inimitable style, leaving us with a splendid rendition of the Wurzels song Combine Harvester. The vote of thanks by Reverend Monica O'Day for a fantastic and most memorable evening. It only remained to raise the roof with the congregation singing Canon Lan and of course My Hen Wad Van Hadai. A wonderful night was had by all who attended this great event, and £780 was raised for chapel funds. Thanks are due to all who participated and the members of the chapel who organised it all and provided a superb buffet supper afterwards for those who took part. Diolch yn fawr iawn, Bob.